pivot table is a summary of your data. It is used in cases where there are numerous rows and columns in your data set, and it allows you to grow your data in several ways so that you can derive meaningful information from it. Now, the visual representation of a pivot table is termed as a pivot chart. Now, how do we do that? So let's see an example. Now, here is some data. Here you see we have some row labels, which basically gives me some category of items here. It also tells me the sum of sales, and basically it gives me per item what is the total sum of sales which were made. Now, how do I get this here? So, for example, if I would want to delete this, and I would be interested in getting the total sales under each category of items. Now, we know that we have different data here, and it's huge. For example, on the row end, if I just do a control and right arrow, it tells me what's my last column. And if I just do a control and down arrow, it tells me there are 9,994 rows. Now, I can use this, and what I can do is I can basically work on insert and go to pivot table. Now, this basically tells you need to choose the range. Now, since I have chosen my first row and first column, it basically has selected the data, and that's fine. Now, do you want the result in a new worksheet? I'll say existing worksheet, and I can choose a location. Now, that basically needs me to select a field. Might be we can just select this field, and that should be good enough. So, for example, if I close this, or if I say OK, so this is basically an indication that my pivot table will be created. Now, what are the fields we are interested in? So, as per the problem, we need to find out what are the total sales for each category. So, let's go in here and let's select the field category. Now, as soon as you do that, it shows that the rows which are being selected are for this column category, and now we are interested in getting the sales. So we would want the sales per category. So let's select this. So you see sum of sales is selected. Now close this, and that's it. That's your data. So it shows you row labels, it tells you what are the different categories, and it also gives you sum of sales, which is per category. Now, this is one easy example where we have solved the problem, where we have tried to find what were the total sales under each category of items. So, for example, let's have another data set. So, again, you can just check how many rows we have, and it is basically the same, 9,994. And if I look in columns, it basically shows me profit is the last column. And here we would want to find out which category. So, for example, let me get rid of this. Which subcategory of items sold the maximum under each category? So we have some categories here which says furniture, and it shows some subcategories, and then it shows me office supplies, and then some subcategories, and same thing with technology. Now we know how we got this data, but this is different than what we were seeing here. So here we were just getting the categories, but we did not have any breakdown of subcategories within this particular category. And here you see there is a breakdown, and then basically you can also apply a filter which basically says what is the data you want, and if you are interested in finding out a particular value. Now, how do we do this? So, for example, let me get rid of this. Now we know how we can find out the category of items, but we would want to find out which subcategory of items sold the maximum under each category. So here we are not looking at sales, but we are looking at the quantity. Okay, so what we can do is we can go to the first row and first column, click on insert, click on pivot table. Data is already selected. Let's choose existing worksheet. Let's choose a location in our worksheet where we would want to have this. So might be I can select this particular field and then just close this. So it says this is the existing worksheet. Say OK, and now columns. So for example, if I would want the data for categories, so I can select this. Now I know that within category, these are the options which we have, and then there is a subcategory. So let's select that. And if you see here, now we have the data which will be filtered. So based on your category and subcategory, and then we will choose quantity. So it automatically understands that this is something on which summation can be done. So let's select this and close on this. Now if you see here, we have got our items where we can see the subcategories within a particular category. Now I can basically close this, and that just shows me high level categories. Here, so here I can again select a particular row and column. I can go for either a new pivot table. So we could basically select this. The row is already selected. Existing worksheet is what I want. So now I will select this particular place. Say OK. Now we do the same thing like what we did earlier. So we will select category, subcategory and quantity. So the data is already come in. Just select this, and now you already have all your data. But this is not what we want. We want to basically apply a filter to this. Now how do we do that? So we can go for slicer. So I can go for insert slicer, and then it tells what are the subcategories which you are interested in. So for example, if I go for something like subcategory and say OK, so this tells me what are the categories you are interested in. So for example, we know that furniture has furnishings with the highest value. So I can select say furnishings, and then I was interested in office supplies. So within office supply, I can basically search for here binder. So I can just do a control and select binder, and then I can also know for technology I can select phones. So I'll say control and select phones, and now if you see, the filter has been applied and we have these subcategories which are selected. So we have our data here. Now we don't need really this, so I can just delete this, and I have my data which shows me furniture being the main category, and that has only furnishings, office supply having binders, and technology having phones, and that basically is a filter applied on the result of your pivot. So this is how we are seeing which subcategory of items were sold maximum for each category. So this is how you can easily use pivot tables, and you can do some analysis. Let's look at some more examples. Now let's see if you have to answer this question, which says which were the top 3 states for each region that made the highest average profit. Now how do we calculate that? So for example, this is the data we have, and as I have instructed earlier, you can select the first row and first column. You can click on insert, go into pivot table, and that basically selects all your data. We will choose the result should be in this existing worksheet. So select this, click here, and then basically let's select this cell, and I will say OK. So now my pivot table will be here. So we are interested in finding out top 3 states within each region which have made the highest profit, or which have made the highest average profit. So for that, first we will select region. So when we select region, it shows here region, and within region you will then select state. So within every region you have multiple states, so that's what we are selecting. And then we are interested in looking at the profit. So let's select profit, and that automatically shows up here. So we can now say close this. So basically we have all the data, but we are looking at the sum of profit, but that's not what we want. We are looking for top 3 states from each region that made the highest average profit. Now how do we change that? So here we have sum of profit. So I can do a right click and basically I can say summarize values by average. So now I'm getting the average here, and that basically tells per region I have the average profit. But first is, let's sort this data. So let's go into sort more options, and here I have average of profit, or for example, as I said, you can select region, say OK, and now it is basically having the regions, and then you have your state value. So again we can do a sorting here, and I can say let's go for more sort options. I'll say descending. The state values should be based on average profit. So let's say OK, and now if you see in particular region we have the data which has been sorted, wherein you have the highest average profit on the top. Now what we can also do is we can basically then go for filtering. We can say top 10, but I'm not interested in top 10, so I could reduce this to top 3. This is the items, average of profit, say OK, and now you see per region you have the data which is showing me top 3 states, what are the average, and then you are also looking at the subtotal, so which basically says average profit for your west. Now if you would want to arrange this, your west and south and east and central in a particular alphabetical order, if you would want to sort it, you can always do a sorting, and you can choose sort Z to A if that's what you would want to do, or you can go for sorting more sort options, and you want to sort the region which is as of now based on descending Z to A. Let's make it ascending, say OK, and now you see the data has been filtered, so it says per region. Now you can always select this and you can say what is this. So this is basically your average of profit. Now we are looking at each region and the states, the top 3 states as we wanted.